going to YouTube. Hey, folks. Welcome once again to another wonderful session of, well, we kind of got a mix of Northeast region and national recruiting and retention. This is our little presentation. I am Colonel Stan Scrabbit, and with me I have Lieutenant Colonel Darren Ninnis. So, Darren, say hello, please.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's it going? And we're really glad to have everybody here watching our webinar.
So today we are going to focus on how we can leverage the heck out of LinkedIn for your recruiting and retention needs. So any thoughts on this topic, Darren, before we get started?
Interestingly, we just recently started looking into this, and I had another squadron in the Middle East region talk to me at the conference about how they're using volunteer match in a similar way to match up people with appropriate skills to necessary openings in their squadron. So it was a really interesting sort of thing. And I said, well, geez, have you looked into LinkedIn? And they said, no. Well, the 25th of August is when you need to look in. So by the way, we're monitoring Twitter tonight. So if anybody has a question or a comment or wants to bring something up, hashtag is CAP recruiting. We're monitoring that hashtag. Of course, also we're watching the any chat that's underneath the live window here. And also, if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A, which is in one of the corners. Yes, thanks, Stan.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got done with a wonderful recruiting and retention workshop at the national conference. I had a blast, learned lots of great things. And I want to thank Colonel Ninnis for kind of pulling that all together. It was definitely worth it to me. And anything you want to share about that before we get started on our topic today?
The national conference was absolutely outstanding. We had a really good time. We had a great turnout for the recruiting and retention boot camp. We had 24 members in attendance for that, which was not quite as many as the PAO Academy, but for a first-year effort, it was outstanding. And I just recently got all of our attendance figures for the different learning labs we ran. Stan, your social media and recruiting webinar learning lab actually did really exceptionally well. I think you had 37 in your learning lab, so it was outstanding.
Cool. I didn't count, so that's nice to hear. I'm glad folks showed up. Hopefully they learned something. Okay, let's get on to our topic at hand. We're going to talk about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a multifaceted tool, but it starts off as a Rolodex on steroids. So that is where professionals go in and put their content in an effort to make connections and help their businesses and such. Well, to be honest, we have our own business, right? We are trying to recruit individuals, to get them to work in our individual, companies in our stores. And so we can use tools like LinkedIn to make that happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to kind of explore LinkedIn in depth and see what we can do from different pieces of this to make it work for our Civil Air Patrol efforts. So I am going to share my screen. Darren, if you would let me know when machines sharing is in progress.
There you go. It looks like it's coming up. And there was my smiling mug there for a second. Yep, you're live.
Okay. So right now I am logged into my LinkedIn. And when I go to LinkedIn, this is pretty much what I see. It gives me all kinds of crazy information. I got dogs walking around my feet. Sorry about that. But let me start that again. I click on my LinkedIn button, and it lets me see basically the people that I'm connected with or pending invitations, kind of really good stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the profile view and going to take a look at my particular profile. So as a recruiting and retention professional in Civil Air Patrol, one of the things that I recommend, and you don't have to do it, but I recommend that you add something about Civil Air Patrol and what the duties are that you're doing for the organization. Let me kind of beef this up a little bit. All right, is that more viewable?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so a couple important things when you are laying out your profile is you need to have a picture of your mug up there, right? A professional picture. Nobody else in it, no dogs, no cats. Once again, LinkedIn is about being a professional. So this is not, it's not Facebook. Do not consider it Facebook. Do not treat it as Facebook. That will be a huge turnoff for other folks. So having a picture, having a good title, things like that. As you work down, a good summary. So in here, in my personal summary, I have something talking about that I'm a leader in Civil Air Patrol. So I have been a variety of things, and this is how people can contact with me. This information is really related to my business and the things that I'm doing in business. There's some things that I don't have marked because I just kind of shifted everything around to focus on my sidepreneur gig a little bit more. So I haven't really got any endorsements there yet. But think about that for the endorsements you have. The next section talks really about my job. I don't have anything about Civil Air Patrol, or I shouldn't. I think I got rid of it, but I'm not positive. But it should be focused on my job, what I do. And so I'll kind of scroll down there. Yeah, I see I've got some lingering stuff because they didn't have another section. For Civil Air Patrol, you want to scroll all the way down, keep going, to volunteer information. And you want to add your volunteer experiences. So recently I became a member of the Board of Trustees, so I put that information there. E-learning coordinator, I have my information there. Director of recruiting and retention, and then also past positions that I've been in for various organizations. But my volunteer stuff, you want to go in and make sure that you are accounting for the fact that you're in Civil Air Patrol. The reason why is these various links are clickable, right? So if I click on that, whoops, when someone looks at my profile, hold on. Let me go up here. View profile as. And so now this is what my looks to my connections, but I can also see it from my public. So I can view what my profile looks like to everybody else in the world. So way down here, and I'm going quick, I know. Right? Some of these things are clickable. For example, Civil Air Patrol. If I click on that, it will bring me to the Civil Air Patrol page
at LinkedIn
and provide additional information from that page. But it also allows me to drill down to other people I may want to connect with. So how you're connected, I could drill down to this 1153 and see a list of other people in Civil Air Patrol that I may want to connect with. And we'll talk about that more in depth here in a little bit. So going back to my profile, let's go back here. A lot of things on this are clickable. So let me go down to my interests. Hold on. I'm finding it. Recommendations, organizations, right? So in here, if I'm interested in flying, I can click on flying and it will show me other people that are also interested in this idea of flying or that it's found in their profile. So the important thing about a profile is do not skimp when you are filling it out, because every single word that's on there allows you to um, allows the search engine to find you. So part of this is, other people trying to find you, but that's how we're going to go find uh, people that we want to use. Darren, is there any questions on that so far?
So far, I
Do
haven't
you?
seen any questions. I don't have any questions. Clearly, yeah, you want to make sure that your profile is complete and filled out so that you're not in a circumstance where, obviously you want to make sure that it's almost like the whole Facebook thing with what's that lookalike audiences.
Right.
You're looking for people who have similar interests. So when it comes time to go forth and try to recruit, people using LinkedIn, you're going to be looking for people with similar interests as you.
Correct. Correct. And yeah, so take time to fill it out, be professional about it, and that will help you. So what we are going to do now is, how do we use this to go find people for our organization? So, for example, I'm interested in pilots. Say that I want to find pilots for my organization. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search. So I'm going to look for people. So I'm going to use this little drop down on the search, go look for people, and I want to search for pilot. But even before that, what I'm going to do is go on over here to on the side of search and select advanced. Okay. And when I select advanced, it gives me a very detailed, um, I can do a lot of really drilling down into LinkedIn and do some searches. And I may be getting ahead of myself. We'll try to go back and forth. We'll get there. So go ahead, Darren.
No, a little bit. I mean, and this is where I do this every day at work as part of my thing when I'm like searching for hardware and software. But this is where you go in and start winnowing down your local connections. People in the United States. Okay, great. How about people in your state? Great. How about people in your county? That sort of thing.
Right.
Now people with flying. Now people with military. Now people with that sort of thing.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for people who are in the Jamestown, New York area, who specifically are pilots. So the first thing I want to do is do a search, and I'm going to put in the word pilot, right? People with pilot titles, right? That is that's probably a good start, right? So I want people with pilot titles. So I'm going to click on that, right? So here I got, Alexander Bonilla. He's an instructor pilot, but he's down in Dothan, Alabama, and a little far away from me. So now I've got to narrow it down. And this is where this advanced search comes in. So I'm going to scroll down, and now I'm going to look at relationships. So, but before that, I want to narrow down my location. So I'm going to narrow it down to Jamestown, New York area. So now there's 36 results for pilot in the Jamestown area. That narrows it down pretty good. So what I want to do is this strategy of doing kind of a warm call as opposed to a cold call, right? A cold call is I can pull them up and try to connect with them, but they probably that won't be as successful. So what we're going to do is the strategy is we do kind of a warm, kind of explore. So kind of follow me with this. So Charles Watkins He's a second degree connection, and I'll explain that here in a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on his name, and I'm going to use that little mouse, that wheel that's in the center of my mouse, and click on that, and it actually opens it up in a new tab, which is kind of nice. So now, that way I don't lose my other stuff, and I don't have to go back and forth, and it's just a little cleaner, opening it up in a new tab. So what has happened right now is Charles Watkins has been alerted that I have looked at his profile. Okay. That somebody came in and looked at his profile. So LinkedIn, when you go to visit somebody, it lets them know that you've gone out to visit them. And what they do typically is they will come back and look at your profile. So now they're interested, you're interested. It starts the conversation. It's kind of like you eyeing each other up in a networking session, and you kind of get in front of each other. Okay, so that's step one. While I'm here, I am going to kind of deviate a little bit, and I'm going to explain this second, right? So everybody that has a first here means that they are in your list of contacts. So your connections right here, that if you see a first, they are in your connections. If you see a second, that means they are in the connections of somebody you know. And a third degree is one set removed. So think of it as concentric circles that just kind of work out from the center. The center is your connections. The next circle out, like a target, the next circle out is your second degree, and then the next circle would be the third degrees. So if I look at this guy, I want to be able to reach out to him and say, we're in need of pilots. Would you be interested in Civil Air Patrol? So there's a couple things that are really kind of cool in here, right? Looking at his profile, and it's really important to look at somebody's profile and know a little bit about them before you start this conversation. So one, he's a pilot. That's who we're looking for. Great. Two, he's done some time or is doing some time in the United States Marine Corps. Very cool. So he has an understanding of this whole military thing. Although he doesn't speak Civil Air Patrol, he's got an affinity there.
I like how you use the phrase doing time. My friends in the Marine Corps would tend to agree.
So, and then, you can continue looking down on this. Oh, 24 years. That's pretty cool. All right. Still in there. Military operations planning. Oh man, this guy is prime target for someone to talk about. So, but here is the cool part is Kurt Anderson, Sheriff Joseph Gerasi, and Jonathan O'Brien all know this guy, and they are in my address book. These guys, I've got a one-to-one connection with them. So I could probably reach out to Sheriff Gerasi and say, hey, you're the guy that's flying for you, Charles Watkins. We got this volunteer group called Civil Air Patrol. I would love if you could help me make an introduction to this guy, because I would really like to talk to him. Odds are that he would. And you can work on a message through the sheriff to make that connection. All right, so that's one way. Does that seem clear right now, Darren?
Oh yeah, it totally seems clear.
Okay. Right, so what we're doing is we're doing a little research on this guy because we want to do a connection, which is very different from having an open house, having people come visit, and you don't even know who they are, and trying to get that connection. I know something about this guy before we even start talking. So that's the information that I have on him. So, like I said, I visited his profile. He's going to come back and visit mine. The next one, Turner, chief pilot at Sky Sail Balloons. Hey, a ballooning pilot. Aerospace education. I could visit him, right? So I can check on his profile. Whoops, I did it wrong. I opened him up. Now I have to go back. So let me open up another tab. And so now I can go look at him, right? He is a president of Crown Hill Stone, president and chief pilot of Sail Balloons. So this is like for me, it's a twofer because, I'm trying to connect with small business owners in the area and also looking for people for Civil Air Patrol. And in this case, we're looking for pilots. So this will be great if he comes back and looks at my profile, right? And I would continue doing this for each of the profiles. And he is connected with by Timothy Edborg, right, who works at Wealth Management, UBS Bank. So he could help me make the connection. And you can ask this guy. So on the right-hand side, you can ask him for an introduction and explain what you want to do. So if I clicked on this, right, here's a message that starts, always, always, always localize the message. Do not go with what LinkedIn shares with you. Always localize it and, try to make it a little better.
Personalize it, customize it,
Personalize it.
make
Yeah.
it something that's going to be to your, don't just go with that sort of pre-canned thing, because then it's very impersonal, and the person, your friend, your connection at the other end is going to go, why do I want to do this?
Right. So let me go back, leave this page, right? And that's why we do research in here, right? I mean, you're looking as like, man, you do balloons and stuff. We would love for you to come out and check out our Civil Air Patrol, right? Talk about your balloons and stuff. At least, try to invite him and maybe, build that connection where you can then turn that into membership.
Right, absolutely. At the very least, you might be able to turn it into an aerospace class. You might turn it into a good connection. Maybe he's got teenage sons, and he says, this would be a great thing for my teenage sons. Or he says, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a commercial pilot. I got 3,000 hours in Cessna 182s. I'd love to fly for Civil Air Patrol. Bang! Now it's a threefer.
Right. Okay, so we're going to keep Charles Watkins here, but let me go back to my profile, right? And so I would do this for every single person on here. Pilot, self-employed, instructor pilot, great. Matt Johnson. Wonder who that is. You know a Matt Johnson, Darren?
I do know Matt Johnson, but he's not a helicopter pilot, and he lives in Utah, so different Matt Johnson.
Okay, different one. Okay, very good. All right, so I would go through these 36 people and do the exact same thing. I have a little tool that I use. Let me see if I can find it up here. Ba, 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 ba.
You have way, way, way too many add-ins in your Chrome.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, I don't normally do it from here. That's why. Let me show you another tool. Tool that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna beam this up.
Switch over to your other personality.
My other personality, because I got other tools there. Let me pull this into there. All my alerts. So there's a tool called Link Clump, right? And what this does is I can hold down my Z key, because that's what I have it programmed for. And as I mouse over this, can you see what it's doing, Darren?
Sure can. You're selecting all those guys.
I'm selecting all those guys, and guess what happens when I let go of the mouse button,
I
right?
can't even guess.
It opens them up in individual tabs.
Oh,
So
wow.
I went out and I'm looking at all these guys at one time. Bam, bam.
Neat.
That's so we're working right through this group of people. All right. So it's a tool called Link Clump that I use for a Chrome browser, and then I can just close them and and just continue down my list and go to each page and do that. Kind of speeds up the process if you're doing some serious trying to make connections. All right, so I'll close that. Okay, so as I said under your profile. So as I said, we're reaching out to this guy. This is what other people are doing to you. So other people under your profile says who's viewed your profile. So when I click on that, right, it gives me an idea of how many people have come to look at my profiles, right? So I'm keeping stats on this. A couple people that worked at Jamestown Community College, title with a corporate trainer. And as I scroll down, right, these are some people that have looked at me. So now I want to know who this is, right? So this Jonathan, I'm curious. So you have to kind of keep tabs on this, and I'll show you how to do that also. But you want to keep tabs on this. Now I want to know who this guy is, right? So I'm opening him up in a tab, and he's down in the greater Nashville area. So not somebody that I'm really looking for. So I may or may not connect with him, but in this case, I won't. Not because he's a bad guy. It's just I don't know. And I don't have anyone else that has looked at me. Well, we can try. So Bob Smith, Denver, Colorado. So what would happen? Let me go to my Google Drive and I'll show you what I've done. And I'm looking at it from my business perspective, but you would definitely do the same thing for Civil Air Patrol. So I'm going to scroll down to where my business notes are. And I have a folder called scripts. Let me beef this up a little bit. So I have LinkedIn script 1. Right? And so here's the script that I'm using in a business sense. It says, thanks for stopping by my LinkedIn profile. I'm new to the Jamestown area. I help business professionals effectively use social media to create new opportunities. I'm looking to connect with other Western New York business professionals through LinkedIn. Would you be interested in connecting on LinkedIn? Okay. So I would normally copy that, go over to Bob Smith, and yeah, you would have to make a message that worked for what you were doing, that you are in Civil Air Patrol. We're looking for new pilots right now. We saw that you were a pilot in the area. CAP is a great organization. Would you like to connect and learn more? So you go back to their profile, and you have to do it from their profile. This is important. You have to do it from their profile. You would click on connect, and you're going to send out an invitation to connect with this guy. The one that you want to choose is friend. So you click on friend. Here's this canned thing from LinkedIn. So let's get rid of that. And I'm going to paste in my script. You only have 300 characters to work with. That's why this one is very short. And so what I would do is send out an invitation to connect with this guy. When he connects, then we can further the conversation. If he doesn't want to connect, that's what it is. It doesn't, you're pretty much, okay, they weren't interested, move on. Okay. But this is what I would send. In this case, I'm not going to send because it's not the appropriate message for this person, but just to give you an idea of how this would work. Questions on this yet, Darren?
No questions so far. Apparently, either our
Is anybody
audience
out
is
there?
yeah, there's like 22 people watching, but nobody's got any questions so far. Either
Okay.
you're really killing it or everybody's in a daze. I'm not sure which.
It could be. Okay. So we have this message, we send it out. So we did a search. We found people that we liked. We went to their profiles, which alerts them that we've gone to their profiles. So don't do this in stealth mode, right? Make sure that your name is out there, that you haven't turned off the things I want to do this stealthily, not show who I am. You need to show who you are. Send out that they come back and look at your profile, right? So when you go out to visit them, ideally you want to keep a list of people that you went to visit. So you know when they come back to you, oh, that's one of my people. I can now try to make a connection with them. Okay. And so we'll send out this message. So have some scripts ready based on what you're looking for. Okay. So you may be looking for people to be on your mission staff, right? Look for planning section chiefs if they're out there. Go find them, right? And they can help out. So I'm going to cancel this. So then they make a connection. When you have that connection, then you go to your follow-up script, right? This script is a little longer. So in the case of my business, here are some things. Hey, thanks for taking a chance on me and connecting with me on LinkedIn. At the moment, I'm not here to sell anything. I want to first get to know you, stuff like that. Here's some free resources I'm giving. Oh, I'm giving this presentation. You're welcome to come by. Before I sign off, is there something that I can help you know more about? So thinking it about Civil Air Patrol. Hey, thanks for connecting with me on LinkedIn. Really looking for pilots. We'd love to have you come down to our meeting. Here's all my meeting information. Here's how to contact me. Here's what a pilot does. Here's where you can find more information. Man, just build a script for that what you're trying to sell, that position, and push it out there and make sure all your contact information's there and go ahead and make that contact with them.
And don't forget too that you want to, in some instances, customize it a little bit. So, if you're connecting with, to use the gentleman who was a balloon pilot as an example, you might want to angle your message a little bit more towards the aerospace education mission and say, we have an aerospace education mission for our cadets, and we talk about aviation careers and different opportunities in aviation. And, ballooning is one part of that. Maybe you would like to talk about ballooning to a group of young people. And so if you customize that a little bit so that it's specific to their experience and their background, your chances of getting a legitimate response as opposed to it looking like a completely canned thing are much higher.
Right. Absolutely. And then, ideally they'll communicate back. If they don't, wait a week and hey, did you get my message? So having a spreadsheet where you're following this conversation kind of lets you feed them various scripts, that you got to tailor, just like Darren said, but getting that message out. So, this is a script that I use, and it's helped me get some traffic back on that. So once again, you start with your search, narrow it down to your area, right? So you don't want to send things to thousands of people, right? So you really need to get into the niche of what you're looking for. Go out, look at those profile pages. If they come back, right, to look at who's viewed your that come back to your profile, you'll find out who's viewed your profile here. Then try to make that connection. Remember, using that friend and putting your script in there. Very short script, 300 characters. If they offer a connection, from there you can offer a bigger script, telling them a little bit about what's going on, how to make contact, how to get them into the process, and just bringing them into the fold. And so this is how you would leverage LinkedIn to make those connections. Now, I also have a tool up here, and it's probably
Stan, by the way, it's apparently we may have lost video. You and your dog are on the screen. I'm checking right now.
Uh-oh.
Nope, you're good. We're still live.
Okay. All right, we're still live. Cool. I saw some people making comments, so
yep.
At least my notification. Okay, so let me show you this other tool that I have running, and once again, it's not on this one because this is not what I use for my business. So let me open it again.
We did get a comment that we are apparently, right in there as far as communicating what, it's a good review for people with LinkedIn in particular that, already use LinkedIn and are already familiar with it. Some folks who aren't familiar with LinkedIn might be a little overwhelmed by, okay, I don't use LinkedIn. How do I, so it
Sure.
might be a little bit of that.
Right. Yeah. Understand. Definitely not the orientation to LinkedIn. This was how to use LinkedIn to recruit.
Yeah.
We can always do another one if folks are interested. So, but on here, I have this little tool up there called, that basically lets me see profile views of my LinkedIn. And when I click on it, it shows recent people that have come to look at my LinkedIn profile. So that's running on my toolbar all the time. That allows me to know that. Okay. Going back to my other screen here. Okay. So a couple other things here. This flag right here, this will send you alerts on, for example, 21 hours ago, this guy looked at my profile. 23 hours ago, it was a conversation. Some other people came in and did some things, but you'll get notifications also here if anyone came to look at your profile. Here's a place for pending invitations, right? You go in and look at them. So, for example, this person, Bernard, right? He's over in the Boise, Idaho. He's the Civil Air Patrol. Right, so he's interested in connecting, but he sent me a generic, I would like to connect with you. That's it. I have no idea who this guy is. So I'm probably initially not going to connect with him. If he reaches out again and gives me some other information, maybe so. Right, so that's why it's important to personalize that message or all your messages that you're sending through LinkedIn. Don't go with the generic message. So let's get back to this search. If I was doing this search for pilots, people with pilot titles, right? And I tried to connect. So Dennis Randall, if I click on connect here, it will shoot him an invitation right now. And there's, I can't do anything about it. So this is the wrong way to do it. A lot of people will try to connect directly from here. Not the way you want to go. So you want to make sure you go to their profile, warm them up to you, then start making those connections. And that's, other. So one other thing, let's look for homeschooling.
There you go.
All right. So we're not gonna look for people, but I want to look for groups. Right. I'm looking for homeschooling groups. So here's a group, homeschooling and working parents. The homeschooling network has 1,800 people in it. So one of the things or homeschool moms, one of the things that you may want to do is join one of these networks, look at the conversations that they're having, and interject as appropriate. We can't go in there and sell. You got to do quality of life stuff. You got to make the world better, before you can go in and do a sell. So they say that you should, when you're talking about social media, there's kind of a balance. And this is where people screw it up a lot of times, is they go in there trying to sell their wares all the time. That you should be giving, like every 9 times you give is then 1 time you take, right? So giving quality of life, how to improve what you're doing, and then that 1 time and say, hey, let me tell you a little bit about my business, right? So don't go in there 9 times telling about your business and only give 1 time. So the really value of social media is give. The more you give away, the more it'll come back to help you. So, and I've figured that I've listened to that advice, and from a personal standpoint, absolutely true.
Yeah,
I've been
absolutely.
given opportunities that if I was just doing the hard sell all the time, I wouldn't have got them. So, even like this, going out and giving webinars, giving knowledge away on how to do this. I could have kept this to myself, but giving it away. There may be somebody out there is like, even from a business standpoint, comes back and says, hey, can you show us how to do that? And we'll pay. Who knows? You never know. But this is, so the idea, give, right?
Well,
So
and if you think about it too, Stan, that at the end of the day, recruiting is a 1 meter kind of thing. It's a personal conversation you're having with people. You can cast the widest net you want, day after day. You can have a wide net, but really what is going to get people to join the organization, what's going to convince people to give up their time and their effort is that personal connection. So you've got to personalize that message. You've got to explain to them the why and the wherefore up front.
absolutely. 1 meter effective range. I learned that at the recruiting and retention boot camp. 1 meter effective range.
Outstanding.
So let me stop sharing. All right. That is really how to leverage LinkedIn for really using it as a recruiting tool. Going out, do you need a finance officer? Go find a finance officer. There's people in the finance world that are right around you that you just go out and ask them, hey, you interested in helping us as a finance officer for Civil Air Patrol? This is what's you're responsible for. So doing those kind of things. So any questions out there, Darren?
No, really. It doesn't seem we've had a lot of questions on this so far. I'm looking back and forth at our different areas, and I'm not seeing a lot of questions. Either, like I said, either you're hitting it right down the middle, or everybody's a little lost. I'm not sure which. Although I think we're explaining this in a pretty good way on how you can actually leverage LinkedIn for recruiting.
I'm hoping so. So do your search, go visit their pages. When they come back, start a conversation by trying to connect with them. They want to connect, follow up that conversation, follow up that conversation, follow up that conversation,
Right.
follow
Yeah.
up conversation.
And again, like you mentioned, a lot of this is just like having a conversation with somebody. You walk into a room at let's say a party or a community gathering. You don't walk right up to somebody and just go, here's my business card, like that. Or, hi, I would like to talk to you about Civil Air Patrol. Civil Air Patrol is a very important. You don't do that. You customize and personalize that message. So that's you have to think of it in that way. This is an opportunity for you to connect, but don't do it in, with a robot voice. Do it in a personal manner.
Yep, absolutely. And, looking at these pilots is like, hey, I saw you were a pilot. Hey, I'm a pilot too. Let's talk pilot stuff. Right. And then,
Yeah.
hey, I'm in this great group. You should be in there with me. Holy smokes, we tear up the skies. Right. And looking for those opportunities. Right. So, be personal about it. Go in there. It works really, really well. So I learned this from a strategy, a webinar I attended. They did it on a business thing. He had this great flow chart in it. It just made so much sense to me. And I said, I know a group that could benefit from this. So that's why we're sharing. So we are getting off early. Just letting you know, next month we will be at it again. I have a topic in mind. There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's called 365 Ways or Tips for Recruiting for Volunteer Organizations. And I was thinking we just kind of look at each chapter, pull out one chapter next month and start talking about the tips that she had to share. I think it could all but help our organization. So, but if you have a better suggestion, we're all ears. So
Absolutely, absolutely. We get some pretty good feedback on these webinars all the time from the field, and so far though, we haven't had a lot of people who have said, "Hey, could you do a webinar on some subject? Could you do a webinar on school recruiting or something like that?" So, if you've got a specific need, if you've got a specific question, don't hesitate to ask. We're happy to put together a webinar that'll train a lot of people, because sometimes the question not asked is the most important question.
okay. Well, as I watch our viewers drop off rapidly, oh, they're back. I think it's probably time to pull this together. So once again, thank you very much for contributing another evening to talk about a program that I love. And, hopefully we can keep on making this program better. So, Darren, any lasting words?
Yeah, just as an administrative note, next month, because Google is actually eliminating Hangouts on Air in September, after September 12th, we won't have this wonderful Google Hangouts on Air facility available to us anymore. So we'll be moving these presentations to what's called YouTube Live. To be fair, I don't think we've seen YouTube Live yet. Stan, maybe you have, I haven't. So it'll be a little bit different look and feel, and it'll probably be a different kind of URL and that sort of thing. But you can rest assured that the content will be very much the same.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And once again, this presentation, along with everything that we've done so far, can be found in our playlist. And we will share that playlist in the chat, so you can always get to it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody, for being here.
All right. If you have questions for us still, put them in the chat, and we'll get to them. Thank you.